Harappan Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Good day everybody. Today I would like to talk to you about a very important aspect of Indian history, a civilization which has contributed to the world history, and the discovery of this civilization was itself very interesting. Somewhere in 1856, two British engineers were laying or were assigned the task of laying a railway line from Karachi to Lahore in Pakistan. And these people were finding it difficult because there was shortage of ballast. And you know, when railway line is laid, there is something called as ballast which has to be laid under the rails. Unfortunately, in that area there was no ballast. So some villagers came and they told them that there is enough of broken brick bats of houses in that area. These engineers went there, they collected all those brick bats, laid the railway line, and the brick bats were sufficient to lay a railway line connecting Lahore to Karachi, which is around 93 miles. They did not know that they had kind of touched the ruins of a very ancient civilization. Behind me you see a screen where it is showing the picture of the railway line, and when later on studies were made, Alexander Cunningham, the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, then started his work on this civilization. Later on you find in the 20th century many Indian archaeologists like Dayaram Sahani or Rakhal Das Banerjee also started excavating these areas, these sites where lot of ruins were found. And in 1924, the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, that is John Marshall, announced the discovery of a new civilization which changed not only the Indian history but also the world history. And this civilization was known by many names. Initially it was called as Indus Valley Civilization, then it was called as Harappan Civilization or the civilization of Harappan era, and the latest trend is to call it as Indus Saraswati Civilization. And here you have the first chapter in your history, that is titled as Bricks, Beads and Bones, which focuses completely on the Harappan civilization. I have a map of India for you over here, and if you see the grey shaded area, which is mostly in Pakistan and the area around here in Haryana, you will see that there are some 5 or 6 rivers which come down and form one Indus river. Along this valley of the Indus river, you find many cities, many places which were once a prosperous or prospering civilization, or which had lot many houses, lot many cultural artifacts which are found as excavations were carried out. Here you have a picture of how archaeologists are at work. I have put this picture for you because this term archaeologist will be used again and again in this chapter and also in the next chapters to come. So here they are excavating using tools, and lot of material culture is being unearthed. Some of the lists, there are many cities. Okay, here there are a few cities which I have put over here, which will be talked again and again in this course of the chapter. You have Mohenjo-daro, which is in Pakistan. Of course, Harappa was the first city or the first site which was excavated. So that is why they called it as the Harappan civilization. Next site which was excavated was Mohenjo-daro, which is in Pakistan. Okay, Mohenjo-daro actually means the dead mound. Then you have Channu-daro, Kalibangan in Rajasthan, Dholavira in Gujarat, you have Cholistan in Pakistan, Shortughai in Afghanistan, Nageshwar in Gujarat and Balakot in Pakistan. Of course, all these are a few names which I have put, but there are still more which are being added to it as research is on. Some more about Harappa. Let me tell you also that it is also pronounced as Harappa. These sites are dated somewhere to 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE. I have used the term circa here, which means approximate. It's an approximate dating. We also find that these sites contain lot of baked bricks, seals, beads. We have all studied about these things in the 11th standard. Okay, weights, stone blades. These are the main features of this civilization. As we progress, as excavations went ahead, there were a lot of questions which were asked. Okay, one of them was what these people might have eaten, because there is no written record of these people. So, as archaeologists began excavating, they came across a wide range of plant and animal and fish remains. Like some of them also found some charred grains. These are studied by special people who are called as archaeobotanists. I put the word for you over here. And these are archaeologists who study plant remains. So, as they were unearthing, they came across such kinds of remains of plants which are charred. Charred means half burnt, not completely burnt. If something burns completely, then it turns to ash. So, these are charred grains. From these charred grains, they got a clue what was perhaps eaten. So, there was wheat which was found, lentil, barley, chickpea, sesame which is called as til, and millets which are found in Gujarat. And I hope you know that til and millets, that is nachni or ragi, is consumed on a large scale even in the present day in India. Okay, it has high nutritional value. Rice finds are relatively rare compared to what we eat today. Animal bones are also found which include cattle, sheep, goat, buffalo and pigs. And these are studied by people who are called as archaeozoologists, and they say that these animals were domesticated. Bones of wild animals like boar, deer and the ghadial, we know that these are all wild animals, and archaeozoologists say that perhaps these animals were killed for various things. Now, whether they were consumed or not is a question mark, because today nothing written about this period is available. I move on to the next topic, which is very important, because as we have spoken about wheat, lentil, sesame and all that, we all know that these are all cultivated products, cultivated seeds. So, when there is cultivation, we have to study how the cultivation has taken place, what kind of agricultural technologies were there, and when they were excavating, they came across these terracotta seals and terracotta sculptures of bulls. Okay, here is one which I have on the screen. It is a bull which was used as a toy for the kids. But from there we can make out that bull was given lot of importance, and because bull was important, we know that there should be also plows. So, plows were used to plow the field, and such kinds of terracotta plows are found in a large quantity. These are clay toys actually, but from here we can make out, we can come to a conclusion that bull was widely used for plowing, and terracotta and plows were also used, maybe wooden plows were used. So, they have been found in places like Cholistan and Banauli in Haryana. Archaeologists have also found an evidence of a plowed field. There is a site called Kalibangan in Rajasthan. Okay? And here, if you just look at the picture, you will come to know it's a black and white picture where you have furrows at right angles. So, this proves that two kinds of crops were cultivated in a year. Okay. So, this is an evidence of ploughing. Here we can see that it was ploughed, they knew how to plough. So, agricultural technologies like plough or bulls were there, and also they knew to cultivate crops two crops in the same field. Now, whenever there is agriculture, see now how this is connecting: food connected to agriculture, agriculture connecting to water, because without water you cannot have agriculture, you can't cultivate anything. And let me tell you one thing, that all these sites are located in semi-arid areas. that means dry areas. So when these sites are located in dry areas, there is a need to plan the irrigation system. And here is a picture of a site which shows the environment. It's a very dry climate, there is no much vegetation. This is a picture in Mohenjo-daro, one of the sites which is being excavated, and you can make out what kind of climate these sites were in. So traces of canals have been found in places like Shortugai, which is in Afghanistan today. So here you have a picture of a canal which is being recently dug out, and it shows you how water was taken from one end to the other. We also have water which was drawn from wells. So another picture of water, a well which is located on a high platform, and perhaps water was used for agricultural purposes from such kinds of wells. And there are many wells which are found throughout the sites. In fact, water was given utmost importance in the Harappan civilization. We also have huge water reservoirs found in, I would say, a site which is one of the best sites of water management, and that site is called as Dholavira. It is in Gujarat today. It is a very interesting site. If you go there, you will find huge water reservoirs which were planned in such a way that rainwater could be harvested properly. So here you have on the screen huge water reservoirs or huge tanks. So huge water reservoirs can be seen. In fact, ramps to go down to the water reservoirs are also seen, so that the water level, when it was rising, going down, decreasing in the summer, these ramps were used to collect the water from the water reservoirs. So Dholavira is one site where water reservoirs are seen. Now every site has a particular characteristic, and these sites are divided, the layout of these sites are divided into two main sections. The first one is the Citadel, which is a smaller area but at a higher level, and the next one is called as a lower town, which is a big area but at a lower level. Both are separated from each other by a wall. So here is an example of a citadel which is at a very high level, and the lower town which is separated by a wall. So everywhere, wherever you go to these Harappan sites, you find they are having such kind of layout. The citadel was also walled. Now this is a picture of a artist impression, we call it, wherein it shows that it is a typical picture of a Harappan site where the artist has imagined that this is the way these cities might have looked, and here you have a wall which separates the citadel and the lower town. Now there were buildings which were built on fixed platforms, and these platforms served as a foundation, and because they were built on fixed platforms, the building activity was restricted to a fixed area. So here you see how the building activity was restricted to a fixed area. Encroachment of any sort was not possible. So the platforms were built and drains were laid so that the building area was restricted to that particular area. Sun-dried or baked bricks were used, and they were all of standardized size. So you see, this is an example of a baked brick which is kept in the museum of Dholavira, and such kinds of bricks were used so that they are watertight, they are strong enough, and they have survived all the ravages of time till now. Laying out of drains, which is a very important aspect of the Harappan cities. Drains were planned. Okay, they were laid in a perfect grid pattern intersecting at right angles. So here you see a picture wherein you have a street, you have a drain, and on the drain you find it is covered so that to prevent any kind of mishap, and they are perfectly laid at right angles. So this is the main street which shows of the Harappan city, and you have the drain alongside the street. Streets with drains were laid first, and then the houses were built on top of them. So this is a very good example of a drain, a main drain. Then you have the 90 degrees meeting at 90 degrees. This is called as a grid pattern, and here you have the space or the area for building the houses. So after all this planning, after all this execution, we have to now go and have a look at what kind of domestic architecture or what kind of architecture of the common man, houses of the common man existed. Now they have also a very typical architecture, like how in Goa, when we come to Goan villages, we find a very typical architecture which is found in Goa, which is completely different from the other states. So the houses had a courtyard in the center, which was used for activities like cooking, weaving during hot and dry weather. So if you look at the screen behind me, you will see that this is a plan of a house. Actually it is just an impression, it is not found like this in this state. So here you have an open courtyard which was used for weaving and cooking in dry weathers, and here you have a typical layout of a Harappan house. This is the entrance of the house, and you will see that alongside the wall of the ground floor there are no windows except the main door. I will talk to you about it later on as we progress. Why this was maintained? Why there were no walls, why there were no windows alongside the walls at the ground level? Some say that perhaps they wanted to maintain privacy. Also the main door of the house, here you see the main door of the house, it is not giving a very perfect view of the interior of the house. So if a person enters from here, his vision is restricted only to this room. It does not give a very clear view of what is there inside the house. So to maintain privacy, these precautions, I would say, or these kinds of strategies were used while constructing a house. There are many houses where even the staircase is found, which is used to connect the second story or the roof. So behind me is again a picture of a staircase, remains of a staircase, which is either going to the roof of the house or perhaps there was one more floor on the house. There were wells in a room, very interesting. I told you water was given lot of importance. There were wells in a room, and these were placed in such a way that they could be used by the passers-by. So here you see behind that there is a well and you have people having access to the well. Of course, this is a site where excavations are going on, so you don't expect a very clean, perfect picture. I am talking about 2600 BCE, so many years old. Every house had their own bathroom, which was paved with bricks, and it was connected to a drain. So just see the amount of planning, the amount of hygiene these people had. I mean the kind of the views about hygiene these people had. Here you see a bathroom or a wash area wherein they have used paved bricks, and the wash area is connected to a drain which leads outside. So sanitation, hygiene was a very important concept in this era. We also have a very important structure which is there in your syllabus, which is world famous, and it is found in a place called Mohenjo-daro. Now Mohenjo-daro actually means mound of the dead. So when people went there, they might have found lot of skeletons, and also they might have thought that it is there was a huge mound there. So they said it is a mound of the dead. It's a local term. And on the citadel of the Mohenjo-daro, you find a very interesting world famous structure which is called as a Great Bath. And the features of the Great Bath were like this. It had a rectangular tank surrounded by corridors on all four sides. So and also it had two flights of steps from the north and to the south. So here you have a rectangular tank in the picture. This is the Great Bath, world famous a monument or a site. You have flight of steps from both the sides, north and the south, and it is surrounded by corridors on all four sides. You have also some remains where these archaeologists say that could have been rooms of the rooms which were used. Now The tank was made watertight because it had to retain water, and it was made watertight by adding a material called as, it's a chemical which is called as gypsum. So between two bricks they would use this gypsum, and that gypsum made it watertight, and the bricks were laid in such a way that they would be set on perfect edges. So there was no difference between two bricks when the wall was being built. So that care was taken, and here you see that there is a picture which I am showing here behind me, about how the bricks were laid perfectly in on by setting them on the edges, and the the traces of the mortar called gypsum is slightly visible here. I have also spoken to you about the remains of rooms which are there on all the three sides of the great bath. Now also I would like to tell you that what it was called at that time we do not know, but this great bath term has been given by the archaeologists. Here is a Google image of a great bath. Look at the pointer here. You can see the remains of rooms on the three sides. Staircases to go from the north and the south to get into the great bath, and the drain which connects the main drain to drain out the water. Here is again an artist impression of the great bath, where you find rooms on all three sides. Perhaps it might have looked like that. Some archaeologists say that there was a roof on the rooms. For what purpose it was built, it's a question mark till now, and you have the staircases very clearly shown. Now, whenever there is life, we all know that there should be death. It is the law of nature. How these people disposed of the dead? Were they cremated or were they buried? It's a still ongoing process. But burial pits have been found, and they say that the dead were laid in pits. Now there is a difference between these burial pits, and that difference is very interesting. Some pits are lined with bricks. Here is a picture of a burial. You find the brick lining which is seen, the dead man is laid inside, and a brick lining which is seen. This is found only in certain burials, not in all. Now the other ones were also having pottery, or they were buried with some jewelry, pottery, and this only indicates that these people believed in life after death. So they might have felt that the dead man would require this pottery, would require this jewelry after he died, so they buried all that along with him. So here you can see a burial pit in one of the sites. It is lined with bricks. The dead man is laid. You can see a necklace around his neck, and you can see a lot of pottery around. Okay, so this shows that they believed in life after death. Now, there were social differences in these burials. Like when we talk about burials, I told you that some were lined with bricks, some did not, they were just buried underneath. Now, the social differences are identified based on the type of material with which the body was buried. Like objects of daily use are found in some burials. You find pottery, I have showed you the picture already, needles are found, flesh rubbers are found, body scrubbers they are called, and some luxury objects are found. You find material which is called as faience. It is nothing but silica mixed with gum and color and then fired, and bottles or pots were made out of it and used to store perhaps perfumes. Okay, so these objects are found, objects of luxury. Then there are objects which are also found like copper mirrors. Here you have a picture of a copper mirror which is found. Highly glazed copper mirror you can see on the screen. So such kinds of copper mirrors are found. So these are also considered to be objects of luxury. And also you find rare objects like spindle holes or perfume bottles made out of faience, which I have just mentioned to you, and they are specifically found in Mohenjo-daro and Kalibangan. Now, I have spoken to you, I have made, as I was talking about the civilization, I have showed you a burial where the dead man was wearing a necklace. Okay, so that means that they had love for jewelry. And what kind of jewelry was there? As people, as the sites were being excavated, they came to know that there were even bead making shops. Okay, so beads were made. Now in Konkani we call them as mani or mania. Okay, now what kind of material was used to make these beads? Today we have gold beads, today we have corals and many more things. But in those days they used specific materials, like there was a stone called steatite, which resembled white chalk. Okay, and this steatite was paste, made into a paste. It was molded, it was made into different shapes, and steatite beads were made. Another interesting material which they have used to make beads is carnelian. Carnelian is nothing but a red colored stone. Here you have a picture of a carnelian. Okay, it is a red colored stone where if you heat it, it turns even more red. So this stone was processed, it was fired to make beads, and here you have a very interesting picture of carnelian stone beads. A carnelian beads, carnelian beads were basically processed, they were heated, and that was giving it a very red, dark red color. So this was one of their favorite material which was used to make beads. Then grinding was done, polishing was done, drilling was done. So I told you there was a whole lot of industry where beads were made. And there are drills which are found in places like Channu Dado, Lothal and Dholavira. There are two sites which are famous for shell work, and they are Balakot and Nageshwar. Here they have found some ladles of shell. We all know what are ladles. Ladles means dole. In Konkani we call them dole. Okay, serving spoons basically. They are made of shells. Shell bangles are found in these areas. So perhaps these two sites were Nageshwar and Balakot. Here shell making industry was there. And you find that the craft production what I am talking about, where beads were made or where these jewelry was made, most of these crafts were made in a place called Channu Dado, and it was, they say, the center of craft production. Here everything right from bead making, shell cutting, seal making and even weight making was carried out. Here you have a picture of Channu Dado which shows a bead shop wherein you can find white beads, and perhaps it was a shop, and this bead making shop was doing quite well because you can see lot of beads around and they are now all buried in the earth. Then some beads were made by cementing two or more stones with a gold cap. So that was also done. So stones were taken, beads were taken and they were fitted with a gold cap. Beads were of different shapes, like they were cylindrical, there were disc and there was a barrel shaped. Here you can see some beads which are of carnelian, which are made of carnelian. These are circular shaped. You have some more shapes, barrel shaped, and here you have one more barrel shaped. So different sizes, different types. Yet one more art which is seen was basically decorating these beads by painting or by incising. Here you see carnelian beads, and these beads they have painted on it or they have made some incisions, means carvings. So here you can make out that these people had a very good knowledge about grooming. They had very good, they were presented well, they presented themselves well. So very good taste for adornment, body adornment. Here also you find in Channu Dado one more site. Okay, perhaps this was a shop where bangles were sold. So these are all shell bangles and they are all buried in the mud. Okay, so perhaps a bangle shop, a shell bangle shop is seen in the picture. Okay, sources from where they got the material. There is a blue color stone which was highly valued, and it is found only in a place called Shortughai in Afghanistan. So here you have a picture of lapis lazuli. It's in raw state where it's a blue color, very good colored stone. It's bright blue, and this stone came from a place called Shortughai in Afghanistan. Then we also have shell, as I have told you, which was found in Nageshwar and Balakot. Copper came from Oman and Khetri region of Rajasthan. Gold came from South India. Carnelian, which is the red color stone which I spoke to you about, came from Lothal in Gujarat. Steatite, the white color stone, came from Rajasthan. Of course, there are many more sites from where this raw material has come from, but these are some of the main sites. If you look at the screen again, you will come to know there is a picture of how these beads were used to make jewelry. Okay, these are in various museums. This is from the museum in Mohenjo-daro. Here you have another picture where they have used gold, a combination of gold and carnelian, and these are cylindrical beads of carnelian, and then you can see some gold ornaments also. They say it's a earring, some say it's a nose pin. Okay, then here you have yet one more. Now, whenever there is a civilization which is developing, you have to remember that there is also trade which comes into picture, because whenever a civilization, a city grows, it requires some kinds of financial exchanges. And what were their way of using, what was the type of exchanges they used? Now, for weighing, they used a specific type of weights. Let me be clear here that iron was not used, okay, because iron was not known till now. So, what kind of weights they used? And these weights which they used were made out of a stone which was called as shirt. You can see the word here. And these exchanges were regulated by a precise system of weights, and they had no markings. Here you have a picture of shirt. This is in the museum in Dholavira, and they have no markings on top of it. Now they have various denominations, like the lower denominations were binary, like you have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 and so on. There were higher denominations which were following the decimal system. Now what they say is the smaller weights were used for weighing things like jewelry or beads. Okay? And here you have a picture of metal scale pans which are found in the excavation. You have two metal scale pans. Of course, this is made now to give us an idea of how the scale pans have looked. And here you have the various weights of made out of a stone called shirt, right from the smallest to the biggest. Again, another artist impression which shows a typical market area of the Harappan civilization, where some kind of weighing is done and the artist has shown some kind of weights. Let me be clear also, these are paintings which have been made now, these are not of that era. Once you have weights, you also know that there was something called as a seal which was used, and even in the 21st century we have the trend of sealing something. Supposing I had to send a bag, maybe filled with rice, wheat, from one side to the other, from one city to the other, they would tie the bag with a rope, and both the free ends of the bag were attached with clay, wet clay, and then the seal was pressed on top of it. If the bag reached there intact, that means that the bag was not tempered. Okay, the seal, if it reached the other side intact, that means the bag was not tempered. But if the seal was broken, then there was a scope for doubt. So to facilitate long distance communication, or even to ensure that things went from one place to the other untempered, such kinds of seals were used, which were made of a stone called steatite. Such logos, you say in the modern terms, were used, are seen on the seals. Okay, and here you have a line of writing which is seen on top. Some say that this is the name of the owner, perhaps who's sending the bag. But these are questions which are being answered even today. Here you have yet one more seal where they show they show an animal and the line of writing. There are some characters which you can see right on top of it. So such kind of seals which are made of a stone called steatite were widely used in the period. Let us go to the writing aspect, because when there is a civilization, even in a Mesopotamian civilization, we saw that there was writing. Likewise, here also writing was there, but unfortunately today we cannot understand it. There is no way out by which we can decipher the script, and that is the reason why this script has been called as enigmatic script or surprising, undeciphered script. Now, what is the feature of this? What are the features of this script? It contains one line of writing which has the name of the owner, as I have told you in the previous slide, and the script is not deciphered till date. That is why it is called as enigmatic. Then another feature is it was written from right to the left. So just like how we write in the modern day today, we write from the right to the left. And how do we know that these people also wrote from the right to the left? It's only because we find wider spacing on the right and cramping on the left. So whenever you see a script, you find that there is a lot of space on the right and they have tried to cramp the letters on the other side. Writing was also found on seals, copper tools, rims of jars, jewelry, bone rods and so many other objects. Here you see writing which is found on a jar, a pot. Okay, here you see there is lot of spacing this side and they have tried to cram the characters this side. Now most of the inscriptions which are found are short, but the longest one which is found is 26 signs long, and that is found in a place called Dholavira. So here I have highlighted it. This is an inscription which is found in Dholavira. They say perhaps it was the inscription which was stuck on the walls, stuck on the gates of the city, and it fell off and finally it was covered with debris. So the archaeologists have unearthed it, and you can see that there are some characters where there are signs, you can say, where you can where perhaps they say it was the name of the city. So such kind of signboard is found. Now when we speak about civilization, I spoke to you about the food habits, that the agricultural technologies, water system, drainage, and finally we came to trade and who was controlling it, because there's a these are questions which are asked. Okay, you find so many things, you are constructing so many theories, then what was the kind of administration? Was there a king? Was there a queen, or was there some kind of different many rulers, or were there ministers? What kind of administration was there, or what kind of political polity was there? Okay, political administration was there. Now as I have told you, nobody is there is no such evidence which we can use and say okay, this was the kind of administration which existed. But from the finds, archaeological finds, we can come to a conclusion. Okay, there are some buildings which are found, and the largest one which is found is in Mohenjo-daro, and it is as good as a palace. Huge building with thick walls, many rooms, you can see in the picture. So archaeologists say, just like how they have called that as a great bath, that water tank as a great bath, they call this as a palace. So some say yes, there was a king. Some say there was somebody called as a priest king. You can see in the picture behind me. Okay, here you see a bust of a statue where you can see there is a person who's look at his eyes. There's a kind of a look, a royal look. His beard, you can see comb marks on the beard. You can see he's wearing a very beautiful kind of a garment, a kind of a shawl which has lot of embroidery on it. Then there is a headband, then there is a gold cap kind of thing fitted on his head. So they say he is a priest king. He is neither a priest nor a king. Now there are others who feel that this society had no rulers. There are some who feel that no, there was no single ruler, but there are many. So there are these theories about administration which keep on rising up, and they are being tried to answer by the archaeologists. Religion is a very important aspect of any civilization. Even in the Mesopotamian civilization in the in the 11th standard, or you take the case of Roman civilization, we have studied the religious aspect of the civilization. And here you see that figurines of women which are heavily jeweled and elaborate headdresses are found. So here such kinds of terracotta figurines are found of women wearing elaborate headdresses, and you can see lot of jewelry on it. The archaeologists have called such figures as mother goddess. So we don't know what she was called, so they have called it as a mother goddess. Then there are some stone statues which are found in a standardized posture, seated with one hand on the knee. So as if he is doing some kind of penance. Other structures are found, like you have the great bath which I have already spoken to you about. Then you have fire altars which are very interesting, and this is in a place called Kalibangan. Okay, these are some kind of fire altars. आज आमी ताका यज्ञ कुंड अशें म्हणपाक शकता, बट दे आर नॉट परफेक्ट यज्ञ कुंड. Fire altars which are perhaps used to perform some kind of religious rituals. So these are also found. One horned animal on seals, which the archaeologists have called as the unicorn. So such kind of seals you see, one horned animal, and there is a line of writing. So we don't know what it is. So they say that it is the name of the owner or whatever, but here you see one horned animal. It's a mythical animal because it has a horn, it has the legs of a cow or a bull, and it has the neck of an they say it's an elephant, a rhino, then the horn of a rhino. So it's a mythical animal, a mythological animal, kalpanik म्हणतात ताका आमी. So these are also found. Again, seals showing a figure sitting in cross legs, okay, and surrounded by animals, just like today's Shiva. See this. You have a line on writing on top. He is seated in a cross leg. म्हणजे आज ताका आमी पद्मासन मुद्रा म्हणपाक शकता. Okay, you can see his legs are crossed. His hands are on the knee and he is in a meditating pose. Again, yet one more. Again, the same kind of depiction, hands on the knees, seated in cross legs position, and you see animals are shown, and you see the one line of writing. These, when the seals are found, now various kinds of names are given to it. Some say he is Pashupati, okay. Some say he is Proto Shiva, means the older form of Shiva. Now today in the modern context we show Shiva, the Hindu god, in a meditating pose which is very similar to this, and because he has animals around, we call him Pashupati. In fact, Shiva is also called as Pashupatinath. There is a temple of Pashupatinath in Nepal which is very famous. So from here we can conclude what kind of religion these people might have followed. Though the name of the religion, or though the important features, the important aspects of these religions are being found today, exactly what this religion was called, we still do not know. But from whatever is found, one thing is for sure, that they believed in something which was divine. We will go to the next and a very important phase, an important question. It's a huge kind of topic, and you cannot deal with it in one chapter in a very short while. But as you read, if you have still more curiosity, please go to the library and read, and you will come to know that there are questions which are still unanswered. And one unanswered question is how this civilization has come to an end. Again, because it is unanswered, there are various views of various people. Some are views of historians, some are views of archaeologists. Now archaeologists base their views on what is found. Historians use this material what is found, and they have their own views. So why this civilization came to an end, or how this civilization came to an end, is a question mark. If you see why, some say there was a climatic change, okay, and some say that there was deforestation. So people started cutting trees and the civilization came to an end. Some people say that there were excessive floods, because of which the civilization came to an end. So here you have a picture of a drain, and you can see some debris coming out. So they say this is an example of floods. So excessive floods were there, and this caused blocking of the drains and caused the trees to perish. So this is one view. Some say shifting and drying up of rivers. The Indus Valley and its tributaries, they might have changed its course, they might have changed its alignment. So the rivers started drifting, rivers started shifting, and this is one of the reasons why these people perished. Overuse of landscape, which is even happening today. We keep on expanding to such an extent that we become very little sensitive towards our environment. So this also is one of the reasons which is predicted, okay, for the destruction of the Indus Valley cities or the Harappan cities. There is still more which you can still explore. Though these cities are not in India, most of them, there are new cities which are found in Haryana. Okay, there is a site called Rakhigadi, and excavations are going on. Now they are also trying to link the Indus civilization with the Saraswati river. So that is why it is called as Indus Saraswati civilization today. If you go to the library, textbooks galore. What we have to do is, to quench our thirst for knowledge, we need to open our textbooks and also go to the library and refer to more books for more information on this Harappan civilization. Thank you.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.